like an affordable moat, because who doesn't like their opponents not being able to attack? Welcome back to the Clone Forge, loyal viewers. This time we've got a straight game of Commander featuring Amir, playing my Prime Speaker Zegana deck, Josh playing my Brago King Eternal deck, Nancy playing her signature Azusa Lost But Seeking deck, and me playing my Arcum Dagsson deck. These decks are all pretty tuned, let me say. Here are the opening hands. I'm going first, and I start by casting Sleight of Hand, putting a card into my hand. Breeding Pool from Amir. Flooded Strand and a Life from Josh for Hallowed Fountain tapped. Nancy plays Slippery Karst. On my turn 2, I play Reliquary Tower as my land, and then cast Soul Ring into Trinket Mage, who searches up Mox Opal and adds it to hand. Forest from Amir. Josh plays his second dual land and casts Azorius Signet. Nancy plays Ancient Tomb, taps it taking 2 damage and casts a turn 2 Azusa, and then plays 2 more lands. Not too shabby. On my turn, I cast Thran Dynamo and cast my commander, Arcum Dagsson. Let the madness ensue. Amir casts Cultivate on his turn, fetching up 2 basic lands. Josh casts Solemn Simulacrum, fetching up a land of his own. Ramp all around from everyone, especially Nancy, who on her turn plays 3 forests. Nancy then casts Woodfall Primus and uses its ETB effect to blow up the most powerful non-creature permanent on the field right now, which is my Super Soul Ring. Nancy attacks Amir for 1 with Azusa, since he is the only one open. On my turn, I play Inkmoth Nexus, and then tap Soul Ring for 2 mana to cast Mirror Retriever. I shoot the Retriever with Dagson's ability, returning the Thran Dynamo back to my hand because I want it. I search up Mirror Turbine with the Dagson effect. I then recast Thran Dynamo and then cast Winter Orb in hopes of locking down this game. Amir doesn't untap on his turn, but plays a land and passes. Josh at least has Azorius Signet, which does untap. He then passes the turn. Nancy has many lands, but only 1 untaps, and she then attacks me with the Woodfall Primus since the Winter Orb is currently screwing her. And also Amir for 1 with Azusa. On my turn, I cast Mox Opal and then cast Akroma's Memorial and pass. On his turn, Amir now has enough mana to cast Trinket Mage to get something to help out with Winter Orb, which is Soul Ring. He passes. On Josh's turn, he also plays something good against Winter Orb with Azorius Chancery, bouncing 1 of his tapped lands. Josh then casts Brago King Eternal. Nancy goes to her attack phase, but since I'm tired of being attacked by her, I instead choose to make a mirror with the Turbine and then shoot it with Dagsson to search up Ensnaring Bridge and put it into play. I am currently holding 1 card in hand, which means the Primus can't attack. Nancy just passes the turn from there. On my turn, I play a land to keep the number of cards in my hand low. I then make a mirror with the Turbine again and dag it to search up a little known card known as Memory Jar. I then sack the jar with plenty of mana open, and everyone exiles their hands face down and draws 7 cards. I don't get anything game winning, but I do draw and cast Mycosynth Lattice and Elixir of Immortality. No one else has a play, and we each discard our hands at the end step and return our original hands. I again am holding only one card with the Ensnaring Bridge, meaning nothing with power 2 or greater will be able to attack. On his turn, Amir makes his first relevant play of the game by casting Gilded Drake and stealing Arcum Dagsson, turning off my toolboxing. On Josh's turn, he also makes a relevant play by casting Copy Artifact, copying the Woodfall Primus and blowing up Winter Orb, which means Nancy is going to be the first one to enjoy a full untap step. Josh then casts Lightning Greaves and equips it to Brago, but sadly has to pass without attacking and blinking, which would have been so sick. On Nancy's turn, she casts a Life from the Loam and returns 3 lands to her hand that she had discarded earlier with Memory Jar. She plays the lands, casts Skull Clamp, and Regal Force, drawing 3 cards. She still can't attack. On my turn, I play out the rest of my hand, ensuring that nothing can attack. I pass my turn, since there is nothing I can do without Arcum. Now with his lands untapped, Amir decides to get more tap lands with Explosive Vegetation. He then casts Doubling Season. Josh still can't deal with the Ensnaring Bridge, but he can cast and Greaves up Consecrated Sphinx, which is what he does. No one deals with that Sphinx the entire game, just to let you know. Josh has Reliquary Tower also. Nancy draws on her turn, and Josh draws along with her. Nancy casts Avenger of Zendikar, making all the plants. However many there are, that's how many she made. Nancy realizes that she can attack with the plants and then break her sack land to pump them all mid-attack, in essence getting around the Ensnaring Bridge. Nancy clamps one of the tokens, drawing 2 cards, but giving Josh 4 cards. She then takes 2 damage from Ancient Tomb and casts Vigor. I make 1 mirror on Nancy's end step. On my turn, I finally draw something useful with Kuldotha Forgemaster, which I cast. I then sack 3 artifacts, Trinket Mage, Gilded Drake, and Ensnaring Bridge, to search up Blightsteel Colossus and put it into play. At this point of the game, I can either kill Nancy or Amir, since they don't have any flying blockers. Amir is probably the least threatening right now, but I decide to kill him just so I can get back Arcum Dagsson. Post-combat, I recast Arcum Dagsson and pass the turn. Josh thinks very deeply on his turn. He is holding Active Authority, which is pretty money against my deck. He casts it and targets Arcum Dagsson. With that on the stack, I dag 1 token and search up Clock of Omens. I then make things happen through the use of shenanigans, ultimately getting a Master Transmuter into play and using it to bounce Arcum to my hand. Thanks to the Consecrated Sphinx, Josh has no shortage of answers right now, and he casts Reality Acid on my Blightsteel Colossus. And Phyrexian Metamorph, Blightsteel Colossus. He then equips it with Greaves and also a boosted Serra Ascendant. He goes to combat, and in response, I untap Kuldotha Forgemaster with Clock of Omens, as well as Elixir of Immortality. I then sack the Elixir, gaining 5 life and shuffling my graveyard into my library. I sack artifacts with the Forgemaster to put Ensnaring Bridge back into play. Josh passes the turn, since he can't do anything with the bridge in play. And I don't think Josh has attacked all game, actually. That's pretty funny. Nancy draws, and so does Josh. Nancy holds off on playing lands until she sees if she has to attack with the 0/1 plants or not. She starts by clamping 1 plant, drawing her 2 cards, and Josh double that. Nancy finds Artifact Destruction with Indrik Stomp Howler, which she casts in order to blow up my bridge so she can attack. She plays the lands and pumps a dude's 2/3/4s. It's at this point of the game, Nancy can kill either Josh or myself with all her guys, but probably not both. Since I have a flying Blightsteel and Josh doesn't, Nancy decides to kill me despite the fact that Josh has a much more threatening board presence, more life, and way more cards in hand. Post-combat, Nancy then casts Garrick, Caller of Beasts, and pluses it, adding Soul of the Harvest to hand. Nancy clamps a creature and then passes. Now fully untapped, absolutely no hindrances, and a ton of cards in hand, Brago takes his turn. Josh casts Muldrifter and then goes to combat, attacking with everything, despite Nancy having Vigor on the table. Nancy can't block any of Josh's flyers, but she blocks his Woodfall Primus with her Woodfall Primus, and double blocks the Blightsteel so that she will get creature bonuses from Vigor. But before damage, Josh casts Swords to Plowshares on Vigor, gaining Nancy 6 life. Combat damage happens, Nancy loses 12 life, and gets 6 Infect tokens and draws 3 cards when the clamped Simulacrum dies. Both Primuses persist. When Josh's comes back, it copies Blightsteel Colossus. When Nancy's comes back, it blows up Josh's Reliquary Tower. Josh blinks things, Sarah Ascendant, Brago, Solemn Simulacrum, Muldrifter, Active Authority, which exiles Nancy's Skull Clamp when it returns. Post-combat, Josh casts Soul Ring, Sensei's Divining Top, and Mind Stone, and then passes. He discards at his end step, now that his tower is gone. On Nancy's turn, she starts by casting Praetor's Council, returning her entire graveyard to hand. Nancy replays Wooded Foothills, triggering Avenger O Zendikar, and then sacks it, paying a life, and getting another landfall trigger. Josh brainstorms to see if there's anything he can do to get out of this mess. Nancy casts Duplicant, as in there's no Blightsteel Colossus, Dupla can't handle. Nancy casts Reclamation Sage, destroying Josh's Solemn Simulacrum with the hopes of getting rid of more of his blockers. Nancy attacks with everything. Josh makes a show of blocking and even casts Unexpectedly Absent on Avenger of Zendikar, but then admits that that is a whole heap of tokens. Claim another victory to the awesome power of Avenger of Zendikar. Card is really good. So, for the recap, I did pretty well at the start of the game, but that really didn't last long. I kept Zegana from taking control of the game early on, but all 3 players targeting me with spot removal kept me from winning. Towards the mid-game, I was no longer setting up my win so much as I was trying to stay alive. Getting rid of my ensnaring bridge and one massive attack from Nancy finished my game. How Brago let that game slip away with the board state he had was surprising. While Nancy's deck may not be controlling or oppressive, it is definitely consistent. An unchecked Avenger with lots of lands and land plays will get you there. Great job to Nancy and everyone who played. This was actually a really great game. We normally don't get to see this much of people's decks. We hope you enjoyed it, and from all of us here at the Clone Forge, remember, sex is a form of cloning. Alright.
Copy artifacts, Strand. Down.
You can take any permanent on the board. You take 3. Just take Woodfall Primus.
Oh yeah. Does it?
Yeah, it's an artifact.
Okay, yeah.
And then blow up Winterhorn.
Thank you, Lord. High five for me being good at Magic.
He helps you again. He keeps helping you. Let's try and win it.
And I killed him.